ask, why does your return on capital increase over time?
As you will see, our return on invested capital will be able to reach a stable pace over time. Now, our return on capital is higher than the weighted average cost of capital, and therefore we will be able to recoup our investments all in the near future. As you can see, our return on invested capital will increase to 21.4%, although it will decrease in the future because of a rate rebasing exercise where tariff rates will be lower. It will also increase due to the investments of Meralco into power generation.
It must be noted, though, that while we expect a decrease in return on capital due to the decrease in tariff rates, the volume growth of Meralco's energy sales is expected to remain stable and, in fact, continue to be increasing in the future.
I mean, how stable is that return on invested capital? Because if you look prior to that forecast, right, it's below the 20% level. How much of it is because of, a favorable pesos, which has impacted on your cost of coal?
Most of the effect of the decrease of our return on capital is actually because of a decrease in the regulatory WACC of Meralco that it is expecting in the future, which translates to a lower sales value, sales revenue for Meralco.
It is to be noted that under the performance-based regulation scheme, under favorable macroeconomic environments and lowering the cost of capital for distribution utilities in the Philippines, they are allowed low returns. Thus, reflecting the changes in macroeconomic conditions, the returns of Meralco would also change. This is due to the fact that in the next regulatory period, and given that in the Philippines, there are low interest rates compared to the previous regulatory environment, the tariff rates would decline over the forecast period. However, with inflation and Meralco's performance incentives, this would increase in the future from 2016 to 2019.
However, we would also like to highlight that although its return on capital will decrease in the near future, its strategic investments in power generation, as well as its participation in retail competition and open access, will be able to make up for that decrease and increase its return on capital.
Can you talk about how risks for the company change as they move from distribution to production? And they have a long history in distribution, but not necessarily in production.
Part of Meralco's core strategies is to invest in power generation. In fact, it plans to develop a 3,000 megawatt portfolio as early as 2020. In order to mitigate the risk and ensure that these plants are running well, Meralco has partnered with several established players in the power generation industry. For local plants, it has partnered with Aboitiz Power, which is the second largest power generation producer in the Philippines. Now, for its other projects, it's also partnered with Taiwan Cogeneration, which manages and holds some power interests in Taiwan, and also with EGCO, which is one of the largest independent power producers in Thailand. Now, partnering with these companies and ensuring that they will manage the operations will ensure that this investment in power generation will actually add value to the company.
Moreover, the Philippines is about to face a looming power supply-demand gap as early as 2016, and we are very confident that since the Philippines needs more energy requirements and more investors in the power industry, that Meralco's power generation projects will push through.
Does it make sense for them to own the power plant in Singapore? Singapore has a looming overcapacity.
Yes, we believe that it adds value to Meralco's business, this investment in Singapore. It invested in the power plant in Singapore for three main reasons. First is that its main vision is to become a major player in the region in the power industry. Second, that it provides a front load of cash flows for the company as its in local investments are yet to be online by 2017 and 2018 rather. And lastly, through that plant in Singapore, it will be able to learn the technology of operating an LNG power plant and hope to reapply it in the country in the future.
Can you just comment on their management and whether you looked at corporate governance?
We have assessed Meralco's management to be very competent. Its key executives is headed by Manuel V. Pangilinan, one of the more well-known and successful businessmen in the Philippines. Currently, he is the Chief Executive Officer and Managing Director of First Pacific Company Limited, which is an investment and holdings firm based in Hong Kong. Also, he is the chairman of the more successful companies in the Philippines, such as Philippine Long Distance Telephone Company, Smart Communications, and Metro Pacific Investments Corporation. MVP, or rather Manuel V. Pangilinan, has also built a strong management team, as evidenced by his corporate officers, which have at least 30 years experience in the industry.
As an evidence of management's competence, it has been able to decrease systems loss from 9% in 2009 to an all-time low for the company of 6.71% in 2013. This is actually lower than the average systems loss in Southeast Asia of 8%. The efficiency of management has also translated into their financial performance. Distribution wheeling revenues increased by 22% from 2009 to 2012. However, Meralco has been able to increase its net income by 39% over the same period. This speaks of the company's efficiency in handling its costs and not only growing revenues.
Meralco's corporate governance is actually evidenced by the different management awards it has received. Corporate Governance Asia has actually awarded Meralco its third straight title as Asia's icon of corporate governance. Moreover, the same body has awarded its directors, Chairman Manuel V. Pangilinan and President and CEO Oscar S. Reyes, Outstanding Director Awards. Its corporate officers have also received several awards under this body, such as the Best Corporate Social Responsibility and Best Investor Relations Professional, Mr. Rafael Andrada, and Best Chief Financial Officer, Ms. Betty C. Yap. Moreover, the Philippine Stock Exchange has recognized Meralco's top-notch corporate governance and has awarded it the PSE Bell Awards. With this, we can see that Meralco's corporate governance is actually top-notch, not only in the Philippines, but also in the Southeast Asian region.
But how do you deal with, you got JG Summit there, and then you got San Miguel there as well, and all of them have their own power businesses, and then you just mentioned Aboitiz as well. So that sounds like a corporate governance red flag.
Just to clear up the issue on JG Summit and San Miguel Holdings, San Miguel actually divested its holdings in Meralco and sold it to JG Summit. And JG Summit has no investments in power generation, and through Meralco, it hopes to enter the power generation business.
You've painted a fairly compelling picture why we should look at the stock seriously. The market has a number of very good analysts and experienced investors. What do you think they're missing? Why are they not interested in the stock?
We believe that the price of the stock will be able to reach our target price within 1 year. The price is low right now because we believe that the market has not yet fully priced in the value of the power generation business. In addition to that, there are uncertainties and issues which face the company that cause a downward pressure on the price of Meralco stock.
We believe that other analysts have yet to price in the effects of power generation as well as the market due to first, the complexity of valuing such investment and the staggered implementation of these various plants. However, by 2014, Meralco is actually expecting to receive an income contribution from two of its already operating plants, namely Global Business Power and Pacific Light in Singapore. Once the market is able to successfully appreciate the viability of this investment, we can expect the stock will now move from its current price level toward our target price.
Another issue that is keeping Meralco's price low is the upcoming rate rebasing period for Meralco. In the Philippines, a distribution utilities tariff rate is reset every 4 years. Now, because of the current downward trend of interest rates, there is a general sentiment that the regulatory WACC of Meralco will be lower, thus resulting to a lower tariff rate.
Using the prescribed methodology of the Energy Regulatory Commission, we were able to yield, in fact, a decrease in the tariff rates. However, imputing these in our valuation still led us to the attractive valuation of Meralco stock of 397 pesos and 40 centavos.
What do you think is the risk that they may lose the concession?
We believe that Meralco losing its concession in the franchise area is low. We can look back at Meralco's performance over the past 100 years, and it has in fact been the sole distributor within its franchise area. However, we must acknowledge that looking forward, there is a possibility that its franchise may not be renewed. One of the main mitigating factors here is that Meralco actually owns the assets. So in the event that it's replaced by another concessionaire, it would have to either sell the assets at book value or earn income from rentals. Now, taking this into account, we took the worst case scenario, assuming that Meralco would liquidate all its assets at book value. Now, in the event that this happens, our new target price would be 301 pesos and 20 centavos, but still a hold recommendation.
You made a few references to demand and growth. Did you do any sensitivity analysis around that?